Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Brothers of the hopeful elect, back again, man. Tuesday. Hope you guys enjoyed that lesson we had on the Shabbat, closing the Shabbat out. Mighty lesson, man, about protecting the lead, man. If you haven't seen it, y'all go check it out. Today's lesson for this Tuesday is going to be about I have titled it rather, This is Why Paul Had to Boast. This is why Paul had to boast. I hope you guys are having a great week so far. It is still early in the week, man. So if you aren't, you have time to kind of adjust, man, and try to change the trajectory as much as you can. We can only control so much, but keep enduring if it's not. Yeah, man, let's jump straight into this. First and foremost, we want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We do so by way of his only begotten Son, who is an instrument of salvation for the nation, who we recognize as Yahushua, as the world recognized as ignorantly as Jesus Christ, right? I'm going to go ahead and play the blowing of the shofar. So yeah, man, title of the lesson, this is why Paul had to boast. This is why Paul had to boast. Sometimes it can get controversial when it talks about Paul boasting, right? Whether or not he was in the spirit or not, right? We're going to dive a little bit into that and why he felt the need to boast. Was he right? Was he wrong? Was he trying to teach a point, right? Especially right now, there's a lot of controversy on Paul, right? I personally believe that none of us here on earth right now could lay a finger next to Paul, right? And that's just my personal belief. As far as we are concerned, we have been so far removed from our heritage, way more far removed than Paul himself, coming from being a Pharisee, coming from living in the times where Christ was walking in the earth, right? The things that he knows, the things that he studied and know to be true, whether you believe he is eloquent in his speech and direct in his speech or not, I do think he was a wise man, and I think on this point right here, he was teaching a lesson, right? Before we jump into it, I do have a short video, right? I'm gonna share my screen. Now, this man is I don't know if he's from the islands or if he's from Africa. He has an accent. Nonetheless, he said some good things in here. Hopefully, when I was watching it, I picked up some good stuff. So I might stop it here and there. But I ain't gonna lie. Some parts of it, I was like, what is he saying? Because his accent is a little strong, right? But nonetheless, it's good stuff. We're gonna dive into this and then get straight into scripture, man. We're not gonna waste no time. We're gonna get straight into scripture. Let me see if I can. I wonder if it'll let me. Probably not. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear it. Please let me know if y'all can hear it. Let me see if I can open this up a little bit. No, it won't let me.
Honestly, it is wonderful to see people who are greatly accomplished and very unassuming and humble. Let me sell you this idea of humility. If you find yourself itching to tell people your achievements, you have low self-esteem.
Hey, listen to what he's saying, man. He's starting it off kind of hard now. He said, if you find yourself itching to tell people about your achievements, what you've done, what you have, you actually have low self-esteem.
That's the name. No matter what you call it, I'm giving you the official name. It is low self-esteem. It's just I don't want to talk, but as you see me, that car, that one is my own, and What is there? I mean, we work in billions. Where is it? He says, no, I'm not. When it has to do with showing it, you are humble. But talking about it, you have it. No, you don't have it, you don't have it, period. Just to let you know, this material you are seeing is not cheap. There are only 12 of them in the world.
So he's scoffing about like what people might say, you know what I'm saying? How people might boast. You know, in the world of boasting and bragging, you got hard bragging, hard boasting, you got soft bragging and soft boasting. You also have something that people call humble bragging. Humble bragging is when somebody says something like you know, I got the job. Man, am I lucky that they picked me, you know. Humble bragging looks a little something like somebody complimenting you and they say something like, "Dang man, good job, man! You finally met your PR in the gym, right?" And you know you respond with something like, "Yeah, man, and I kind of did it with only 2 hours of sleep, man." Right? That's humble bragging. You know what I'm saying? So he's going over a few examples. He's right now he's talking about his threads. You know, somebody said you got some nice clothes, and the next thing you know, you talking about something. Yeah, the thread count on this is kind of kind of special. Only about 70 people in the world got this, right? So there's different levels of bragging, right?
World. I ordered one. And you know, this our world, we are very funny people. Because once we do say, you mean it? Tell me more. And the people saying, tell you more, are the ones who will kill you. And then you keep saying it.
Hey, and the brother Isaiah touched on this on the Sabbath day, right? You know, the people that say, tell me more, they really don't even have your the best interest at heart, right? You do like the king, bring them in and show them all that you have. Next thing you know, they robbing you, right? Like he's saying, they spoiling you. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, you have people be like, tell me more, because they really just be real nosy and they want to gossip and tell your business to everybody. So they be like, what? Wait, so who did that? How you know that? When that was? And they get you talking, then that person going to tell everybody what you just told them. Now the word around town. So, yeah, man, you got to be careful with that.
Con, man. Con. An example I got. 1 second. Example I got is and the brother Azrael knows this one very well. There's a brother I know in the world, right? And he gets a haircut every single week, right? And every single week he takes the same video every single week of his haircut, you know. How many of y'all know brothers like that, right? Now, one thing I was telling brother Azrael is same thing he's saying right here in this video. He's saying that, you know, the people that's really saying, tell me more, they really don't care about you. Same thing I was telling Azrael about this brother. Brother, you post a video of your haircut every week to the point where it looks like you posting an old video, right? Because every video looks the same. And one thing that the brother fails to realize is that, bro, don't nobody care. You might care that you look fresh and clean and whatnot, but don't nobody care, bro. You know what I'm saying? And we talked about this before, that bragging and boasting is really pointless because you're happy that you have it, but at the big scheme of things, right? The nature of us as humans, we don't really care that you have it if we don't, right? We don't really care what you have or what you got in a sense if we don't have it, right? So you really bragging and boasting for no reason, and really what you're doing, you kind of making people more envious, right? He's gonna get into it just a little bit more. Watch.
Revealing things you should not reveal. In fact, just to let you know, there's a 12-bedroom flat I just built, and I'll show you one day someone you met for the first time, because they massage your ego in 10 minutes. You showed how small your wisdom is. It is enough that Jesus died and that he died for me. Thank God for the great cars. Whoever sees it, you see it. Whoever does not see it, safe journey.
Hey, he said something right there. He said, "Thank God for the nice cars." But hey, I know me and Ariel done talked about this before, right? But what it is he said whoever sees it, you see it. If you don't, hey, you don't. A lot of people they get these nice cars. First thing they want to do is put it on the gram. Flex a little bit, right? They want to take it out to the city, turn the volume up. We get an exhaust. They want to rev. We be downtown all the time, man. We can't even teach because people want to show off their cars, right? The brother said something that's very interesting right here. He says, get a nice car, right? Before he even said that, he said, man, I'm thankful that I have a car to get from point A to point B. And if it's nice, hey, that's a plus. But whoever sees it and they like it, that's cool. If they don't, that's cool too. I don't have to post it on social media and all this stuff, right? I can enjoy what the Most High has given me and keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, don't nobody really care, because let's be honest. Don't nobody really care about anything that you have if they don't have it. And then also, if you're bragging about it, it does show that you got some low self-esteem. Why? Because I'm constantly showing you everything that I get, right? That's saying, it's letting you know that, I'm not enough by myself, right? It's letting you know that I got to have all these things to feel special. And that's not the point. You should feel special without having all these things. You should be special without that Hellcat, right? You should feel special without that fresh cut every week, right? You know what I'm saying?
Also too, man, just thinking about the haircut thing, and like what he just said, if you want to make an impact like that, no folly, but if you do want to make an impact like that, your best bet is to not tell nobody. Because when you have that new car and you pull up and nobody knew about it, it's going to be a bigger impact. And then people are going to look like, dang, sister must be having motion, because they didn't even post it or share it. I had to find out in person. Or even with the haircut, you're going to get more compliments on your haircut if you don't show it off first, right? You just come around and brothers like, man, that's a sharp haircut. Because they wasn't flooded with seeing you boast and brag about how good you look. They're gonna feel more compelled to give you a compliment. So if you just live your natural life, like the Bible says, I'm sure you're gonna go into the precept, let men praise you with their and not your own lips. Let the praise that you get come from other people, not your own self. The more you praise yourself, the more you cancel out other people praising you.
God, man. And so when you look at that, me personally, I'm about to sound like Paul here. I found glory in discretion, man. Right? I find joy and fulfillment in being discreet, right? And not letting people know. Let me land this real quick and I'll let you go, brother.
You good? You good?
I found a sense of fulfillment of catching people by the element of surprise. Like, I've talked to my dad about this, right? Like, as an example, I've flirted with the idea of putting an exhaust on my vehicle, right? Yeah, I like the way it sounds, but you know what I like more? I like the fact that people can't hear me coming or going. You know what I'm saying? I like the fact that I can, hide in plain sight sometimes, man. I like the fact that people ain't always checking for me. You know what I'm saying? And there's peace that comes with discretion. You start boasting and bragging, you putting a target on your back, low key, right? Go ahead though, brother O.
And even a lot of brothers, you see a lot of brothers in this truth, brothers that go out and teach on the streets. You start to see a lot of brothers starting to boast on their works and how long they've been in the truth and how much knowledge they know. And it's because, they feel like they're not getting the amount of respect or attention that they feel like they should. So they got to let people know how much knowledge they got. But like the brother Denal said, at the end of the day, nobody cares.
Right.
Nobody cares who you debated. Nobody cares how many books that you got on your bookshelf. Nobody cares. Just put the information out for people to get and study. instead of just saying what you got and what you know, because nobody really truly cares at all, to be honest.
You know what he said at the beginning of the video? There's really enough on the video, man, because the brother O in the spirit, man, he gonna propel me to get in these scriptures, man. Right.
All
But
praises, man.
one thing he said in the beginning of the video is that he said people that normally brag and boast, they normally have low self-esteem, right? And a lot of times they project insecurity. So what does that look like? If you in the truth, right, and you're always constantly bragging about your knowledge about, I'm a top scholar this, and I'm a top historian this, right? Bro, 9 times out of 10, deep down inside, you have an insecurity you're projecting because you feel like you're not validated enough in your knowledge, right?
Yep.
So you try to beat it out of everybody and fish for comments to back you up to say that you're enough. Brother, you ain't got to do that. Matter of fact, it hits harder. I'll tell you, we was, when we was in the fraternity, it was kind of similar to how it is in the truth, and the fact of you're always studying about the fraternity history, stuff like that, right? And you were seen as important, if for lack of better terms, if you knew more about the fraternity than the next brother, right? One thing that we practiced in the fraternity, though, and it wasn't even like a rule or anything like that, but what brothers did was they took some information that they just learned and they would save it. We called it putting it in your back pocket, right? We wouldn't, and we bring it up at the right time. So brother be like, dang, I didn't know that. Some brothers get some information, and before they even let it resonate, they are already making a lesson on it, right? So some brothers, they find out there was a brother that was talking about this in the community. They find out a big word and then they wear it to the ground. They say it every chance they get. You know what I'm saying? And there's beauty in the discretion. There's beauty in perfect timing. Shout out to Shador, right? There's beauty in perfect timing and knowing when to use that knowledge and not overusing it, not putting it in people's face, projecting your insecurities of the knowledge that you obtain, right? You see that a lot of times with brothers and sisters that don't feel inadequate, whether they're not getting enough respect in their congregation, whether they're not getting enough views on their videos, or you see it sometimes when brothers and sisters they feel like somebody has one up on them because they didn't go to school or they didn't go to theology school or something like that, right? Then you got brothers that'll bully other brothers, saying, "Hey, look, you suck at theology." But like the brother Obadiah said, who cares? We not in this to be good at theology, right? We didn't make up theology. All you're doing is projecting your insecurities on other folks, and you want them to feed in to what you have fed in for yourself, right? Which is really vanity and lies, right? Without further ado, man, let's get into these scriptures, right? The title of the lesson is called "This is Why Paul Had to Boast." So we're going to get into some examples of Paul having to boast, right? First thing I got up here is going to be 2 Corinthians 11:22. Brother Azrael, go ahead and lead us in.
Book of 1 Corinthians chapter, the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 22. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are
Right.
they?
Go ahead.
Are they the seed of Abraham? So am I.
Right? He's saying, hey man, y'all think y'all special because y'all are this. So am I. I'm that too. I'm him too. Right? Next verse. It gets worse.
Verse 23. Are they the ministers of Christ? I speak as a fool. I am more. In labors more abundant. In stripes above measure. In prisons more frequent. and deaths often.
Right, man. He said, "Hey, man, y'all think y'all him? I'm more him." Right? He said, "I speak as a fool." He still spoke it anyway. He said, "In labors, I do more than y'all. Y'all think y'all doing a little something? I do more than y'all." He said, "Stripes more above measure." Man, you talking about stripes, and you could talk about whether he's being persecuted, or you could talk about like, I done earned my stripes in these streets. You know what I'm saying? Paul done earned his stripes in these streets. In prisons, ain't none of y'all went to prison more than me, man. You know, a lot of times brothers, and even in the world, be bragging about how they've been to prison. You know what I'm saying? You know, you get to talking to a brother, right? And then, you know, the moment he feels insecure about something, he got to bring up, "Oh, I'm from so and so and so and so, and I've been to prison," right? He said, "Hey, ain't nobody been to prison more than Paul, pushing this truth." And in depths, talking about like how many times he was this close to dying. Ain't nobody touching me, right? He's talking his talk, right? Go ahead, brother O.
Yeah, man. I was gonna say, just thinking right now, Paul probably, because Paul was a man just like how we, how we a man, and I think Paul may have had, while he was persecuting the church and things like that, he may have had a spirit on him of pride, and he took pride in persecuting the saints before he came to the knowledge of the truth. So I do think I think Paul was a humble guy, but I think sometimes he was still fighting that flesh, and he kind of what he used to do, he may have boasted back then, and he kind of still struggled with boasting. So he tried to make it. He was boasting, but he tried to make it about good things this time. Like, what I'm saying, I'm laboring and I'm going to prison for the Lord and things like that. So instead of him boasting for like he
Here's the,
used to, go ahead.
no, I was about to say, man, and you know, you kind of spot on of what he's boasting about. But here's the thing: even in that, he's
Yeah,
not supposed to be boasting,
right.
right? And he knows that. Why? Because before he even said it, he said, "What? I speak as a fool," right? So he was foolishly speaking. But why was he foolishly speaking? Because he was teaching a point. He was
Mm,
teaching a point, right? He wasn't boasting because he wanted to boast. He wasn't boasting because he felt like he had to boast, but he was teaching a point. So I got the same chapter, right? We're gonna read up a little bit more, 2 Corinthians 11, but we're gonna read this in the GNT. I like the way it reads. It reads nice and clean. If you read this part in the KJV, it gets a little bit confusing for the reader, but I like the way it says it in GNT. So we're gonna read GNT. You know, we do comparative text all the time, so we're not really afraid of using other versions. I do think it reads cleaner though. And we're gonna start at verse number 16.
It's the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 11, verse number 16 in the GNT. And it reads, "I repeat, no one should think that I am a fool. But if you do, at least accept me as a fool, just so I will have a little to boast of. Of course, what am I saying now is not." Salaki, let me read that again. I'm trying to zoom in on my phone a little bit, but it
Slide.
says, "Nah, you good, you good." It says, "Of course, what I am saying now is not what the Lord would have me say. In this matter of boasting, I am really talking like a fool. But since there are so many who boast for merely human reasons, I will do the same.
What did he
You get,
say?
but
Like,
since there are so many who boast for merely human reasons, I will do the same."
for human reasons, man. That's why we boast and that's why we brag. And this is what he's teaching right here. He's teaching you guys, he's teaching that those that were around him at the time, the things that y'all are proud about are human. They're fleshly things, right? They don't matter. What have we been saying this whole live? It don't matter. Don't nobody care. So you're a Hebrew or Hebrews, that's cool. Could you even control that? No, you couldn't, right? You couldn't even control which tribe you was gonna be born in, but you bragging in it? Don't nobody care, bro. We care about your heart posture though, right? Verse 19.
Verse 19, it says, "You yourselves are so wise, and so you gladly tolerate fools. You tolerate anyone who orders you around or takes advantage of you or traps you or looks down on you or slaps you in the face. I am ashamed to admit that we were too timid to do those things.
Con,
But it,
man. Wait. So right here, right? Verse 20. Pay attention. He said, you guys tolerate who orders you around, right? Me, when it says tolerate here, you can also substitute that for respect. You guys respect people who order you around. You guys respect people that take advantage of you, right? Make you pay for breakdowns, right? Right? You guys respect people, right, that look down on you. You guys respect people that might even put their hands on you, right? And what's Paul saying? He says, I'm ashamed to admit that we were to do any of these things. What is he saying? He's saying, I'm ashamed of the fact that you guys respect that and don't respect what we got going on because we have so much love for you. We would never look down on you. We would never put our hands on you. We would never order you around, right? Unjustly. We would never take advantage of you, right? We wouldn't sell this truth for filthy lucre. You know, we wouldn't take your tithe money and spend it on God knows what, right? And this is the point that he's trying to teach. Keep reading on that on verse 21. But if anyone dares,
verse 21 continued, but if anyone dares to boast about something, I am talking like a fool. I will be just as daring.
so this is when he goes and is saying, are they Hebrews? So am I. He's saying, but if you guys y'all want to get into this boasting match and competition, we can go tit for tat. Because if you guys if y'all only knew that I'm more than y'all, you know what I'm saying? If y'all only knew I got the right I got the credentials to boast, right? Yeah, I've been taking a back seat. Y'all think I ain't nobody, but if we want to go there, we can go there. You see what I'm saying? But he chooses not to, right? He's teaching a point saying that, hey, look, although I could say all the things that you guys are saying and more, I choose not to for the love of my brethren. Because it don't take all that, and that don't matter. What matters is saving the soul, right?
What version that is?
This is the
GNT.
GNT, the Good
I
News
ain't read that one.
Good News Translation. They got a lot of good clean ways of saying things, man. I'm gonna go to let's go back. I'm gonna go to 2 Corinthians 11 and 30. Let's go to the same chapter. We're gonna go to verse 30 though. Hold up. Right here.
It said this 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 30. If I must needs glory, I will glory of the things which concern my infirmities.
Right. He said, if I want to glory in something, I'm gonna glory in the parts of me that is weak. So after he gets done teaching the point, he says, but if I must glory in something, if I must brag about something, I'm gonna brag about my weak points, right? Where I fail as a human being, right? Why?
The God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, or Yahweh Shai, which is blessed forevermore, knoweth that I lie not.
Con. Hold on. Let me see if I get to the point. Pretty much saying I glory in my infirmities or my weak parts because where I am weak, right? If I glory in the points where I'm weak, that's glorifying God because He's the one that makes me strong. He's the one that gets the credit. If I tell you how weak I am and you still see me being blessed and whatnot, it's obviously not because anything I'm doing, but everything that He's doing. John 3 and 30, right? I must decrease and He must what? He must increase, right? Let's get another example real quick. Let's go to the book of Acts. I brought this out maybe a month ago, right? But I'm gonna re-examine it within the context of this lesson. Let's go to Acts 21 and 39.
And another way of looking at the way you're supposed to do it is sharing testimonies. A lot of times when you share your testimony, what you're doing is you're sharing a place that you were weak or a place that you were vulnerable, and you're showing how the Most High God brought you out of it or increased you in that area. So a lot of times, man, look for ways to share your testimony over looking for ways to brag about what you have or what you are.
Come on, man. Sharing your testimony would definitely encourage others. Go ahead, brother Isaiah. You had something?
I was gonna say, today, I was at work, man, and there was some guys out there that was repaving the parking lot behind the building that I work at. So um, there was I came around, I guess, the lunch break. They was taking a seat, right, and I was speaking to this older white gentleman, and we was just out there talking, and I started talking to him, and they was talking about, how hard they work and stuff like that, not in a boastful sense, but saying that, they've been able to get a lot of things done, and in all his years of living, all the experience, he said he works pretty hard. He said, man, I'd look at how the work ethic is with a lot of people nowadays, and some people wouldn't even be in the position. If some people was in the position I'm in, this is what he said. He said if some people was in the position that he was in, they wouldn't be where he is right now. And he was saying that because he shared with me that, on November 9th, he had a massive heart attack, one they called a widowmaker. uh, he said the Lord really put him in that position because that Saturday he was talking about going hunting that Sunday morning, and he was supposed to go alone by himself in the woods, far away. And he said, man, his granddaughters were getting baptized at church, so he was like, man, something's telling me to go, so I'm gonna go. Hold, lo and behold, he said while he was sitting at church, man, he started having a heart attack. Like he felt like something was pinching him, started sweating profusely, and turns out, man, he said he was telling his wife, hey, I gotta go. I gotta go. So they finna leave the church and everything. And the person that greeted them in, like the usher, right? He said the usher so happened to be a paramedic. And he said, man, the usher told him, man, I can help you. Because he was like, I'm trying to leave, I'm in pain, I gotta go. And the usher was like, I'm a paramedic, I can help you. So fast forward, the pastor's first lady, the pastor's wife, I guess the first lady, she was supposed to be out of town. She ended up being there that day, and the paramedic was asking if anybody had this specific pill to take because it helps slow down your heart rate. And lo and behold, she was supposed to be out of town, but she was there that day too, and she gave him she had the exact pill that the paramedic said that they needed to help slow down his heart rate to decrease the, I guess you could say, the trauma of the heart attack that was going on. So I'm saying that all that to say that was a moment where, again, the boasting was asked for a testimony, not necessarily to belittle someone or to reveal insecurities, but to kind of share like how the Lord used him, to share what he's been through, to kind of help others put things in a perspective like that, you know, because, hey, because like you say, sometimes we get to work and we brag on how much work we do. We want to be that guy at work. We want to be the top worker or whatever to have bragging rights. But in this case, he wasn't bragging to say I'm the top worker. He was just bragging to say that, the Lord helped him overcome that situation, and he's at work. He was at work a week and a day later.
Come on,
So
man.
it happens like that.
Come on, man. And that's something to glory in the fact that that others might see you out there on your work side, on your craft or whatever, but coming to the realization that none of us would be doing what we do if it wasn't for the Most High putting breath in our lungs and making our heart to beat, right? And that's what you should be boasting in, because one, you ain't got no control over that, and two, right, you can boast in the Most High who's doing that for you. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that now. You know what I'm saying? I got two more examples, man, before we start getting to some solutions, if you will, right? Acts 21 and 39. Whoever's next.
The book of Acts, chapter 21 and verse 39. But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus, a city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city. And I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people.
Con, I believe he was talking to, what was he talking about? Was he talking to Pilate? Who was he talking to? I don't know. He's talking to Chief. Hold up. He's talking to a chief captain, I think. Yeah, chief captain. You start at verse 37 for me, Azrael.
Verse 37. And as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, May I speak unto thee? Who said, Canst thou speak Greek?
He said, can you speak Greek? Right? Because highlighting what Paul said earlier, he said a lot of people boast in humanism, right? A lot of people boast in a human way, right? When you look at this chief captain, you got certain people even today, right? We deal with Americans, Islanders, and all. I just seen a reel the other day, man. All these Chinese people were perplexed that this black guy could speak fluent Chinese, right? A lot of people have ties to languages, right? And a lot of times in the ancient world, languages were the what you spoke kind of showed your class as well. And so this chief captain said, he said, can thou speak Greek? Saying like, hey man, can you even speak Greek? Because I ain't finna listen to you if you talking ghetto. You know what I'm saying? Right? Verse 38.
Verse 38. Art not thou that Egyptian, which before these days madest an uproar and led us out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers?
Right, man. He said, aren't you not that Egyptian, man? Right? He said, I don't speak to Egyptians, man. You know what I'm saying? And what did Paul say? Because Paul understood something right now. I'm dealing with a simpleton, right? I just asked to speak, and this man is interrogating me about how I speak and where I'm from, right? I just asked if I can ask a question, right? If I can make a statement. Paul is recognizing I'm dealing with a simpleton, and so you want to play simple-minded games. I'm gonna give you your simple-minded answers, right? I'm gonna give you your simple-minded prize. What does Paul say, right?
Verse 39. But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus, a city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city.
It says no mean city. That when it says no mean city, mean means average, right? Like if you get the mean average of something, or if it just says mean in a what are those problem solving questions called? Whatever, man, right? When you're on mute, brother Obadiah.
You talking about the mean medium mode?
Yeah. Right. You know what I'm saying? So when it talks about mean, it's talking about average, right? Or sometimes even below average, right? Some people go to say this word means ghetto, right? But Paul is saying, hey, look, hey, I don't know who you think you're talking to, but I am from Tarsus, a city in Sicilia, right? A citizen of no ghetto city. I am not. Hey, you're not talking to no nigga, right? He said, I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people, saying, hey, look, man, I got good credentials, man. Please let me speak to the people, right? I'm not just some random Egyptian. I'm not just some person that can't speak Greek. You know what I'm saying? I got credentials, because he understood who he was dealing with. He was dealing with somebody that does what? Judges before they examine, right? And so we're gonna get that. Let's get John 7. We're gonna get John 7 and 24. Because this is who the chief captain was resembling. And this chief captain was most likely a heathen, but we see the same type of characteristics in our people as well, right? John 7 and 24.
This is the book of John, chapter 7, and verse number 24. And it reads, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment.
Right, man. The chief captain, he was judging according to appearance. He didn't even know who he was talking to. Little does he know, now in 2025, I'm sure somebody that's related to that, to whoever that chief captain was, probably has a Bible and upholds Paul's letter to the utmost authority. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just what Christians do. You know what I'm saying? Nothing wrong with our brother Paul. I'm just saying that's typically, the irony in the situation, right? But judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. You don't want to judge nobody about what they have, what they don't have, how they look, what they don't look like. We all know them stories about, oh, that man looked homeless and he pulled out $100 bill, right? We done seen them stories about, or we heard stories about all these rappers that be flossing and flexing with all these chains and all that stuff and be going broke, right? Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Another reason to just be discreet, man. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, plus about being discreet. If you do have something, if you are wealthy at one point, right, you won't have to go through the shame, the public humiliation when it's taken away, because God giveth and God taketh away, right? You know, if you was putting your trust in, if you was bragging and showing everybody, right, when it gets taken away, oh, y'all them questions coming. Hey, bro, what happened to the Ferrari? You know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, you can come. Hey, man, we all on your tab today. They don't even know you're going broke, right? And it makes it that much more shameful when you're not discreet about your things, right? Because when you're discreet, you literally are putting yourself in the mindset of thinking and saying, God giveth and God taketh away. I'm not finna boast and brag about this because it could be gone tomorrow. It could be gone tomorrow, right? Let's get an example on this one, on this point right here. We're going to go to Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 23. And let's get verse 5. Go ahead.
The book of Matthew, chapter 23 and verse 5. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments.
Right, man. He's talking about, you could say he's talking about the Pharisees right here. But this is our people, though, right? We do everything that we do is to be seen of men. We don't debate that person to learn more information. We debate this person to be seen of men, right? We don't wear these ZCs that touch our ankles because we think it's gonna make us remember to keep the commandments even more. We wear them because they dripped out, right? And they would to be seen of men, right? We don't wear the forearm guards, right? And they call it the crowns, right? With the Velcro in the back, right? We don't wear that because we think we strengthen ourselves in the Lord. We wear it because to be seen of men, right? And that's one thing we got to get out of.
And I know Passover, Passover done turned into a fashion show, man.
Right.
You know, when it's Passover time.
You sound like my mom now.
Hey, man, it's the truth, man. You know, people start posting their garments, you know what I'm saying? And they're not doing it just to show. They're not doing it out of sincerity. They just, basically, they posting it to show y'all can't never get, like, y'all didn't get on my level. Y'all ain't gonna never get on my level. I never wear the same garment for Passover. The same. He's like, I never wear the same garment twice.
Right, man. That's madness, man.
Madness, man.
You know what I'm saying? As madness, man. When we think about the Passover and the memorial of the Passover, it's because it was at a time where we didn't even have time to get nice garments, man. You know what I'm saying? He made sure we had sandals on our feet so we could flee, right? But we might as well, putting on your athletic attire. You know what I'm saying? You wanted to be agile. So times have changed. I know, it's some, it's okay to be festive and all of that stuff, but you keep it in a balance, right? You know what I'm saying? Keep it in a balance. We're gonna move along, man. I didn't realize we was on here for 43 minutes, man. So we're gonna keep this thing rolling. This is Philippians 3 and 5, another example where Paul was seen to be boasting, right? Keep reading.
Is it on me?
I think so.
Philippians 3 and 5, circumcised the 8th day, of the stock of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, and Hebrew of the Hebrews, as touching the law, a Pharisee.
Right, man. This is Paul talking his junk again, saying, hey, look, I was circumcised. Y'all might have been circumcised. I bet none of y'all was circumcised on the 8th day, right? I was circumcised on the 8th day. I'm on the stock of Israel, tribe of Benjamin, a real Jew, right? Hebrews of the Hebrews. And he says, touching the law, a Pharisee, boy. You don't get better than that. You know what I'm saying? And just knowing that, right? What Paul was trying to teach is another place where he was trying to teach to other people that Kendrick Lamar, sit down, be humble, right? That's what he was trying to teach this whole time, right? Some people would just read these and take it for what it is, not understanding that Paul and himself, I'm not saying he was a master teacher now, right? But he did have his ways of getting points across, right? Let's go to the book of Romans real quick to land me back on this example, right? Romans 2 and 28. right? He said circumcised on the 8th day, remember? Romans 2:28.
God, Romans chapter 2 and verse 28. And it reads, "For he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision, which is outward in the flesh."
Right, man. Because a Jew is one that's inwardly, man. Y'all worried about, another man's foreskin. Pause. Right? Y'all don't even realize, y'all worried about how people look and what they got. It's kind of suspect. You know what I'm saying? But you focusing on the wrong thing and not focusing on the thing that what makes you a Jew for real, and that's touching the soul, right? That's touching your mind, your intentions, right? Why you do things, and it's not to be seen of men. I do things to be seen of the Father. I don't do things for y'all to see. I do things privately so I can be rewarded openly, right? This is why we do things, to be a Jew inwardly and not a Jew outwardly. That's what that means, right? Let's go to the book of Colossians, right? What does the book of Colossians say? We're going to go to Colossians and verse 2 and verse 11, right? What that say?
Colossians chapter 2 and verse 11. In whom also you are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands, and putting off the body of the sins of the flesh by the circumcision of Christ.
Right, man. You know what I'm saying? It's saying, hey, of course you're circumcised with, by hands in your foreskin, but you need to be circumcised of Christ. What does that look like? I ain't gonna go there, but paraphrasing, where you get it from. I know it's all over the New Testament, but you get it from the Old Testament, right? Deuteronomy chapter 10, where it talks about circumcised, therefore, the foreskin of your heart, right? Jeremiah, the Most High talks about how the people was not circumcised of their heart, right? It's not a new concept, but it's what our people were missing all along, right? That's why we trusted in animal sacrifice, because on the outward appearance, it looked good. Oh, best believe, man. Best believe there was a joker that was in there sacrificing all the time just because he felt like he had the best flock, right? He might sin on purpose so he can take one of his fatlings in there just to show everybody, and so he can humbly brag. Dang, that's a good lamb right there. He said, "Yeah, man, the Most High, he blessed me with a lot, man. Yeah, I got a lot of them, man. And I just gotta find a way to stop sinning." And he's sinning on purpose. You know what I'm saying? So he can go in there and sacrifice just to show off his flock, right? Madness, right? You have something to say, Azrael? Come. Right, man. So where do we go from here? Right. Where do we go from here? Let's go to 2 Corinthians, man. We're gonna start making our exit plan out of this, right? 2 Corinthians 12 and 5. Right. 2 Corinthians 12 and 5. We might have read this one already, but we're gonna read it again.
2 Corinthians 12 and 5. Of such an one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in mine infirmities.
Right, man. One thing I want to point out right here is that we have to suppress our feel. He says, "Such a one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in my first infirmities." And some in the GNT, I believe that first part right says, "Of such a one will I glory." It says, it says something like, "In such a one do I feel like I feel the need to glory," or something like that. And I bring this out to say, we all at some times, I ain't gonna lie, when I get a fresh cut, there's an inkling in me that want to, take that camera out and record. Then I realize don't nobody care. And then I put my phone right back in my pocket, because don't nobody, maybe my wife might care, right? She might like, "Hey, you looking good," but for the mass people out there, they don't care, right? They can't even, they couldn't get to me even if I wanted them to. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, we might all have that inkling. I know the brother Azrael can touch on this all the time, right? You might like the way your brother Baruch in the chat is for you. You might like the way your vehicle look, right? You might feel the inkling to, you walk into the store, you look back, hold up, I gotta take a picture of that. Good Lord, the light hitting it just right. But keep in mind, man, don't nobody care but you. Even if you do take a picture, keep it in your camera roll, man. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying here with this precept, dang, did I just delete? Nah, it's still here. What I'm saying with this precept is we all might get those times of inkling to brag and boast, but it's up to you to tap into your inner man, to suppress those feelings, to suppress those actions, and keep telling yourself, don't nobody care. Don't nobody care. Right? Keep telling yourself.
Dude, to that last point you was making, man, I just want to say, that's and the brother Isaiah pulled this out in his lesson, man, talking about Hezekiah. Man, you show everybody all you got, the Most High God will take the protection around that thing that you showing off, right? So like the brothers bringing up the example of cars, man, the last 3 cars, inside joke, the Most High see about me quick, man. He see about me quick. You feel me? And man, hey, he come to see me. You feel me? I get so that's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't even keep the pictures in my phone. No, I don't even take no pictures no more, man. I tell you, man, I remember when I first graduated college, I bought this Mercedes. It was a silver Mercedes. And I was so proud that I bought it by myself. It's just taking out a loan. But I was so proud that I, bought it for myself. I negotiated the deal myself and everything. No parents was with me. I was just by myself. My brother was in the lobby, but because, somebody had to drive my vehicle back, or the vehicle that we brought back or whatever. So, yeah, man, I took pictures, man. That thing ended up going semi-viral on Twitter. It's X now, but at the time it was Twitter. It went semi-viral, bro. And I was getting mixed feelings about it. And I told my mom, I said, yeah, I don't know if I should have posted that. There's too many people in my information, people that I ain't talked to in 3 years, hitting me up saying congratulations. I said, I don't know if I like that. Lo and behold, man, I took it to Walmart for an oil change. I don't know why the Lord moved me to do that, but I took it to Walmart for an oil change at all places, and I had to get a whole new engine. Let's just say that. I had to get a whole new engine, man, and I was without that vehicle for probably, I don't know, 3 to 4 months. Then, the next vehicle I had, a nice little truck I had, take pictures of. I was taking pictures. I was starting to feel it. And the Most High God caused me to run into a deer. You know what I'm saying? The vehicle I got now, I made a whole Instagram for it. I ain't tell nobody I made no Instagram for this vehicle I got now.
Man, folly, man.
I made a whole
definition of idolatry, man.
Yeah, man. I made a whole Instagram. I made a whole Instagram, man. I was gonna make reels and put little country songs behind the reels. And the Lord had me. I had to get a new tailgate. I just say it like that, you know what I'm saying? So the Lord come see about me quick. So what I'll say is, man, be careful about falling in love with some possessions, because the Lord will always remind you. It could be a person. The Lord will always remind you that He gives and He takes away.
Right, man. One thing that people always do when they brag and boast, one thing they tell themselves is, I'm just doing this to encourage other people that they can get it too. Right? No, brother, you want somebody to look at what you got, brother. That's the real reason, right? But again, man, if I could title this something else, it would be nobody cares, right? It's Proverbs 27:2. Whoever's next.
Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 2. Let another man praise thee, and not thy own words. My bad, not thy own mouth. A stranger, not thy own lips.
Right. The brother Azrael paraphrases beginning of the lesson, man. It's a mighty precept, right? This is how you should feel, though, right? You should find beauty in discretion. And, we always want to, whenever we get that inkling to boast or brag, we always want to do it prematurely, right? When we come to a revelation or whatever, we don't want to let it simmer or marinate. We want to come out and say it. It's much more effective to know that you that guy when somebody else is saying you that guy before you ever can get it out your mouth. You know what I'm saying? That's true validation. And that's what people want is validation, right? But they're not patient enough to get it. They're not patient enough to get the validation. And so they feel like they got to hurry up and validate themselves first. No, bro, I'm trying to tell you, your self-esteem will go through the roof if you just do the work, put your head down, right? Grow not weary and well doing, and let somebody else praise you first. I guarantee you're gonna feel much more better about yourself, right? So let another man praise you. Don't praise yourself, right? Don't praise yourself. And then when that man praise you, right? Don't give him no humble boastful comment, right? You tell him John 3:30, hey man, I must decrease, he must increase. Every time they compliment you, man, you say all praises to the Most High God. All right. We're gonna go to the book of Ephesians real quick. Ephesians 2 and 9. We're gonna read these kind of quick. I'm trying to get out here within the next 5 minutes or so, man. Ephesians 2 and 9. If my computer would load, good Lord. Come on, man. Don't fail me now. That's wild madness, man. Ephesians 2 and 9. Here we go. Go ahead. Who's next?
The book of Ephesians, chapter 2 and verse 9. Not of works, lest any man should boast.
Right. Not of works, lest any man should boast, man. The work that you do for the Lord does not require you to boast, man. We don't speak our words. Just like Christ said, Christ lets you know, hey, don't think that he's boasting about anything he says. I speak as the Most High gives me words to speak, and I speak his words. These ain't even my words, right? And that's one thing I kind of focus on whenever I say something, and you know, I might get somebody to tear up, I might get somebody to understand or whatever. I understand that it's not me doing it, right? It's not me. I didn't come up with that sentence to say, right? I genuinely understand that I did not come up with that sentence to say just now. You know what I'm saying? The Most High, as he gives us his spirit, he gives us utterance to say what we need to say to certain people, right? Sometimes we can be boneheads and want to say something crazy, and he'd be like, nah, I ain't letting you, I need this person you talking to, I need this person, so I'm gonna send the right thing to say. And then sometimes I surprise myself, like, dang, man, that kind of came out kind of smooth, right?
Yeah, you know, it's two different spirits, man. Some brothers is in the spirit like everything they say should make somebody fall to their knees and speak in tongues. You know what I'm saying? We'll talk to some brothers or some sisters, and they'll end up preaching to us. Like that happened this past Sabbath. And they think that whatever they're saying is supposed to move us. So they don't be surprised when somebody starts falling out or somebody starts crying. But the other spirit is you just doing the work, and you kind of surprise yourself when somebody just starts breaking out crying in the middle of you talking to them. You kind of like, oops, now you kind of feel awkward, like, you okay? Like, I didn't know the words I was speaking was that powerful. Like, you know, so you got to have a humble spirit, man, and not have that spirit to think that it's you in control of the situation. Because even though the Most High God is letting us rent these bodies and rent these voices and rent this knowledge, truth, and wisdom, even though he's letting us do that, right? We got to understand that he's still in control of whatever's happening in the flesh, right? And that's how we got to treat it. It's not us, it's the Most High.
God, that's a mighty point. It's Hebrews 5 and 12. I think it's on Brother Isaiah.
Oh, he probably doing something real quick. I grab it. Hebrews 5 and 12. For when for the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat.
Right, man. Y'all gotta understand, man. We always talking about babes and the truth and all that stuff. One thing you need to realize, we all babes in the truth, especially in 2025. Oh, in 2025, we all babes, right? We done been so far removed from our heritage, right? When we think a lot of us think of ourselves to be teachers, right? We proclaim out into the world, oh, yo, we're the real teachers, da 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 da, right? Who is this guy, right? You're not us, but even you, my friend, right, should be taught again. And a lot of people are realizing they should be taught again when they always, not throwing no shades, but you claim to be real teachers, but every week you coming out saying you got something wrong, and you got the proper understanding now, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, come on now, we all got to take a piece of what they call humble pie, right, and go back to the drawing board, learn again, man, learn again. Let's go to Galatians 6. I got two more precepts and we out of here, man. Galatians 6. We're gonna read Galatians 6 and 3.
Galatians chapter 6 and verse 3. For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself.
Right, man. If you think you him, when you nothing, when you a nobody, right? And newsflash, we all nobodies in the eyes of the Most High. We all nobodies compared to Christ, right? I would say in 2025, we all nobodies compared to Paul too, right? And some people will argue with me, you know what I'm saying? But I speak as a man. I might speak as a fool right there, right? For if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he has deceived himself. And a lot of people have deceived themselves, right? Let's get last precept. So all
like,
of go ahead.
I'm gonna back what you said, man. Right? When it comes to Paul, man, a lot of people they wouldn't have been able to. As soon as brothers get thrown in jail, they ready to give up. Right? As soon as brothers get when he got shipwrecked, brothers ready to throw in the towel. A lot of brothers in his walk, they wouldn't even be able to endure half the stuff Paul went through. But
Bitten
yet,
by a snake.
bit by a snake. But you know what I'm saying? But yet, I'm gonna just leave that way I said. But yeah, you go ahead, King.
Gone, man. So all in all, man, this is the last precept I got, man. The dagger. What was Paul trying to teach all this time? What was Paul trying to teach all this time when you felt like he was bragging, when you felt like he was boasting? He was trying to teach a point, and the point is this: 1 Corinthians 1 and 31.
1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 31, that according as it is written, he that glorieth, let him glory in the Lord.
If you have anything to glory about, if you have anything to boast or brag about, you should be boasting and bragging and glorying in the Lord, right? Not yourself, not in your actions, because he is the one that's causing everything to play out the way it plays out. He's the one, brother, that got your hair waving up, right? He's the one, brother, that gave somebody the design of that vehicle that you love so much, right? He's the one, brother, that gave you your talent on that football field or that basketball court, right? He's the one that made them diamonds in the earth so you could put it in your watch so you could hold it up saying, perfect timing, right? If you're going to glory in anything, if you're going to boast in anything, boast in the Lord, right? Hope that was edifying. Any brothers had anything else?
Hey, man, I got one thing to add. Just remember that the best way to, be is a humble person. Paul was humble. But again, there's moments where he had to remind people because sometimes we get beside ourselves. Like the brother said, we ain't nothing but worms, so we just got to be continuously present our bodies as a living sacrifice, and just make sure that you're doing everything that you can do to push the word forward. And this is a mighty lesson, and it's an on-time lesson because even today, like I said, man, I was sitting in my office. I had some downtime, and I just started thinking. I said, man, I make excuses sometimes for not being able to study as much as I want to, or not being able to do this, do that. So I started doing things to further my knowledge in the word. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, I was proud about that moment because, again, it just puts things into perspective. You had men doing this, and they didn't have to they didn't have to really, you know what I'm saying, check themselves, you know, like a lot of us have to check ourselves every day. Why? Because they were a lot more disciplined, they were a lot more prudent, they were a lot more fervent and steadfast. So we just got to strive to be like the men that we read about in the scriptures, you know, and that'll make us greater men, you know. But Mighty, let's
Man. Last point I'm gonna make, man, because what you said, man, you just kind of jogged my mind and some things, man. I know there's some women out there, man, some men too, mostly women, but you go on social media, man, and they be boasting, you know, it's the soft bragging, the soft boasting. When you go to their story post, right, and they done got their book laid open and every single page is highlighted with 15 different colors, right? You know what I'm saying? When was it not enough just to highlight, just to keep you sharp? But you gotta let the world know you highlight. You gotta let the world know your Bible get used. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And those are just little things that people soft brag about. You know, you keep it to yourself, man. Right? You had a wonderful meditation this morning and time with the Lord. Keep that personal. You know what I'm saying? You had an intimate time with the Lord. Keep that personal, just like you would with your spouse. Keep your bedroom stuff personal. You keep your spiritual intimacy personal as well, right? Any brothers have anything else? Come, man. Without that, I don't know what I'm saying. With that being said, man, we give all honor and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We do so by way of his only begotten Son, who's an instrument of salvation for the nation. Remember, man, Christ said, if you're not gathering, you're scattering. And we say shalom.